R.M. Mehra sir, who is currently advisor, Learning Research Center at Sharda University, Greater Noida. He was formerly head at Physics Department, Delhi University. He is a renowned researcher and teacher with a huge number of research papers. Dr. Mehra has authored many review articles also, and his area of current interest include amorphous semiconductors, solar energy materials, and nanomaterials, photovoltaics, etc. Now, cutting short his detailed description due to paucity of time, I invite Professor R.M. Mehra sir for his talk. Sir.
स्क्रीन शेयरिंग
आप ही होस्ट हो गए?
नहीं, आप स्क्रीन शेयर करिए सर.
अभी नहीं.
Sir, try sharing the screen, please.
Is it visible?
No sir, screen नहीं दिख रहा है अभी. Sneha, can sir share his screen as he is not host?
Ma'am, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Now I can do it.
Yes sir.
Okay. Now visible?
Yes sir.
Okay. So, good evening to everyone. And it has been a great experience listening to great people. And, the topic of my presentation is very simple. No research was involved in this. Only some facts and figures. Science is based on facts. And my topic is visibility and vigor. And it is because of this vigor and visibility, our ability to visualize things, we are able to see these colorful slides, colorful people with colorful clothes, and many more things. And I have kept this title under the shadows of a rainbow, a natural dispersion of light. So thank you very much for inviting me for this International Day of Light, which is being celebrated today. The International Day of Light, which is held on 16th May every year, is a day for celebrating. I have added, of course, this is celebrating and highlighting the importance of light. So under the banner celebrating, I have made few slides, 1 or 2 slides at the end, how we can celebrate. Celebrating, one should have some message for in use of light or energy also. So I have kept that point also into account, apart from highlighting the importance of light. So the first thing is the word light. What we mean, what we understand by the word light. In nature, energy primarily exists in the form of radiation and matter. Radiation is characterized by a spectrum that has a wide range of frequencies and wavelength, and as shown in figure below. This figure is very well known figure. It is printed in many books and everywhere, many articles. So, but this is from say NASA JPL cartridge. I have taken it from internet. The point is that all the frequencies which are written here, 10⁴, 10⁸, 10⁴, 10⁵, 16, 18, 20, and here the wavelength. As the frequency is increasing, the wavelength is decreasing. And we all know that the expression to convert C is equal to N lambda. We can know velocity of light. Again, light word is coming, velocity of light, which is maximum any object can have. And N is the frequency and lambda is the wavelength. So if frequency is increased, the wavelength will decrease. Now, the fact is that this transmission, this video conferencing or webinar which we are doing, how we are able to do, again from this electromagnetic energy. We listen to radio waves, kilohertz, 100 kilohertz, 1000 kilohertz, then FM radio is there, then other channels of communications are there, satellite communication, the whole range of this, great range of these electromagnetic radiation used in communication. And because of that, we are able to transmit those our messages on these high frequencies. But the most interesting thing to human being is the visible region, the human sight visible. Apart from this electromagnetic spectrum, which each frequency is useful, has its own application. But today we are talking of light. And when we say light, the word light is considered to include infrared, visible, and ultraviolet radiation. However, it is broadly used for entire electromagnetic radiation as well. And this is actually said by Feynman that light, the whole spectrum of energy, the electromagnetic spectrum is light. So the visible region is very important to us. Why important to us? Because God has given uh, a, a system with a lens of a eyeball, and then we have got retina, and then we have got mind connected. But that recognize only these visible, this 700 to 400 nanometer, red to violet with pure. And that's, we say that this is the only light, this is the only frequency. So the wavelength range from visible to UV region, this UV region is also very, very important. Now, from where we get light actually, the experience of light. Of course, there are many sources of light we use in our houses, but the main source is sun. The energy being proportional to E is equal to h nu. Visible light is narrow range of frequency that is perceived by the human eye, 390 to 700 millimeter. This range. So we consider that this is light. This is light, but it is not true. So we wake up in the morning with sunlight pouring down on earth. This light originates from a hot star called the sun. Sun is at a distance. Now this is very important to know that we are getting light from hot star, that is sun, which is at a distance of 1.5 to 10 power 11 meter from earth, from the center of earth. And the optically bright portion of the sun called photosphere appears like a circular disk. And we always give this warning. I will explain why this warning is given. Never look at the sun with naked eye. In between, I will come that. But the most important thing is the angular size of this disk, the sun, can easily be measured, and it is about 0.5 degrees or 8.73 to 10 to minus 3 radians. Interestingly, moon too subtends nearly the same angle at Earth. You see such a large distances, but look the nature. Interestingly, the moon too subtends nearly the same angle at Earth. And if that is so, this is the reason why we see total solar eclipse when moon comes exactly between sun and Earth. So 0.5 degree or so many radians, the angular size of sun, and similarly moon too subtends nearly the same angle with respect to Earth at Earth, and when the moon comes between the sun and Earth. So this is that picture which shows the angular size of the sun and the moon. Note that sizes of sun and moon are not drawn to scale. It is impossible to draw such figures in scale. But this angle is so small, 0.5 degree. And same angle is being formed by moon as with respect to Earth. And that's why the complete solar eclipse can be observed. Now, solar radiation, this is solar radiation. I have not kept the chart, but solar radiation, as I said, it transmits all the electromagnetic energy. Solar radiation is abundant and accessible. It profoundly affects health and well-being of all forms of life on Earth. So light, because all spectrum is light. Electromagnetic radiations has wide range of wavelengths, frequencies, and temperature to emit these wavelengths. There are two major regions in the solar radiation spectrum: absorbing matter, ionizing radiations, X-rays and gamma rays, and non-ionizing radiations, UV, R, visible, and infrared. Now, These rays are also there, very high frequency, very low wavelength. Gamma rays, this is also there, very high frequency. And we all know what can be done with the help of X-rays, what can be done with the help of gamma rays. Then we have got ultraviolet radiation, then visible light, which we consider this is only light, and infrared radiation. Now, our eye, infrared radiation produces heat, long wavelengths. And therefore, if we look at the sun directly, the heat goes, which we don't know that it is infrared detector. Infrared rays are not in the visible range, but the heat produced by these rays damages our retina. And similarly, on a solar eclipse, or we say that don't see with naked eye, use black goggles or something like that, so that infrared are absorbed. So of these X-rays and gamma rays are highly injurious and do not penetrate the atmosphere of the earth. This is also God-given gift. Although they are injurious, but they do not penetrate, not able to penetrate on the surface of earth. UV radiation is visible, and it's part of electromagnetic radiation between range 100 to 400 nanometer. And UV radiation is again very dangerous to our skin, because you know that we have got an ozone layer all around Earth's surface, and there are certain ozone holes. So ozone layer stops UV radiation, but there are certain regions in the world, like Australia, where ozone holes exist. So in Australia, human beings, they suffer from skin diseases much more as compared to any other country. So this is again electromagnetic spectrum. So radio waves, as I said, for radio communication, microwaves, infrared, then visible, then ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma, the whole range. And so if you look at the wavelengths, then we can compare with buildings, or humans, or honeybee, or pinpoint, or protozoans, molecules, atoms, and atomic nuclei. Gamma rays, atomic nuclei, the size of these wavelength is very small. So this is conversion of frequencies to, and we all temperature bodies that the wavelengths are, can be, this energy can be related to temperature. So we can also look into the temperature that for say X-rays or gamma rays, it is 10 million K. Or if suppose if we look at visible, it is 1000 K. So figure showing electromagnetic radiation at various wavelengths and temperatures that emit these wavelengths. Ultraviolet radiation is important for vitamin D. This is also there. Synthesis producing both good and bad impact on human health. This image is also from some site from NASA. Now if we come to eye, then the optics of the eye is analogous to that of a camera. If you have handled a camera, you will appreciate that if the lens is not clear, the image will not be clear. And that is the reason that when at old age, when our lens, the liquid, we have a liquid lens, and then when cataract is developed, when this lens solidifies, we are now not able to see the images formed at the retina very clearly. The process of image formation by the eye can be handled by simple methods of geometrical optics. On the other hand, it will be oversimplification to think of the retina to be analogous to film or screen, because that is of course not analogous. So retina has its own function to do, and then it sends information to the brain for analysis, and then identifying the colors. So where information encoding get complex and interesting. The primary goal of optics of the eye is to carry information in the form of light onto the retina for further processing. This light must be safe, and at the same time carry maximum and clear information as far as possible in order for the interpretation to be correct. If you make very bright light, we are not able to see anything in dark. So we put a 100-watt bulb in a room, it's good enough. We put a 1000-watt bulb in a room, I think we will not be comfortable to see objects clearly. So in order to same time every maximum and clear information as possible in order for the interpretation to be correct. And this is a schematic cross section of the human eye. So uh, uh, light is entering through the lens, and this is the retina, and then these nerves are going to the brain and things like that. Details are given. And then a very interesting phenomena of light is a natural phenomena of dispersion of light. You know, this people have seen this rainbow where 7 colors are seen in the sky from red to violet, and it's a natural phenomena. And rainbow in sky in direction opposite that of sun. The photograph taken in Alaska by Mr. Such and Such, and that is I'm given. So people thought that what is this? For a long time, the phenomena of rainbow appearance was very difficult to understand. And to understand that, dispersion of white light by prism and transmission grating, that was the experiment done by Newton. That is, if you pass white light through prism, it converts into 7 colors. Or if you fight white lights with transmission grating, again, it converts into divide into number of colors, 7 colors. But in case of prism, the red is coming at the top. In case of grating, the violet is coming at the rod. So this has interchanged. Spectrum has reversed. But that showed that probably this kind of phenomena is happening in rainbow. And have kept this slide deliberately. The natural phenomena of rainbow exhibiting concentric arcs of different colors has attracted human attention from the dawn of civilization. However, the cause of its experience due to refraction and reflection of sunlight from tiny water droplets in the atmosphere was not known till second half of the 17th century. People were not knowing that what is happening. It was not until 1666 that Sir Isaac Newton passed a beam of sunlight through prism and found that it was dispersed into continuous series of colors. And look, Newton introduced the word spectrum to describe this phenomena of dispersion of light. Thus, Newton's analysis of white light of sun into its constituent color formed the beginning of the science of spectroscopy, which is now everyone uses. Spectroscopy everyone uses, but this was because that Sir Newton made an experiment with the prism. The word vibgyor was coined to represent the violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red colors in solar spectrum, which were also seen in a rainbow. But the next surprise will come in the next slide. It is 1666. For nearly next 135 years, it was believed that sunlight has only visible colors. After Newton has said that after that dispersion, the fact that sun radiation has components outside the visible region of the spectrum was first demonstrated by W. Herschel in 1800, after 135 years, by discovering infrared, and J.W. Ritter in 1801, who discovered the ultraviolet radiation. So it took, research is very slow. It based on observations. It took more than nearly about 135 years to believe that no, sun spectra is not visible light. There are other ranges also. And till this time, spectroscopy was limited to visual observation, and these studies also marked the beginning of thermometric and photographic observation of the spectrum respectively. So, visibility and vibgyor, that is light. And I've taken some pictures also. Watching a sunrise always brings with it a unique kind of satisfaction and a beautiful Okay. This is sunrise picture taken from Google. And sunset is not just a view. It is a real experience, a memory and a lesson for one and all. And what lesson we get from sunset? One who sets can rise again. One who sets rise again. That after every night comes a bright sunny day. And that's what we are struggling today. That if COVID has come, it will go also. We have to keep that in our mind that for after every bad thing, a good thing will appear. So it's a cyclic process. So one who sets will rise. One who sets can rise again. That after every night comes a bright sunny day. So this today now is evening, tomorrow we'll again say see sunshine. But what happens after sunset? After sunset, we need artificial sources of light. And the artificial sources which we have, uh, so there are methods for generation of white light, uh, RGB we say, red, green, blue. So if we mix red, green, blue, we can use LEDs, we can create white light. So this is that picture. So don't go into this, but I go to next. So there are two ways of producing high intensity white light. We understand only white light. So our eye understand only white light. So there are two ways of producing high intensity white light using LED. The usual LEDs that emit three primary colors, red, green and blue, that is RGB, then mix all the colors to produce white light. So this is one way. And use a phosphor material to convert monochromatic light from a blue or UV LED to broad spectrum white light, much in the same way fluorescent light bulb works. So this is RGB LEDs, most efficient method of creating white light, ability to tune to any color in the spectrum, ideal for mood, mood lighting. These lightings are commercially available. Of course, there are certain challenges. RGB LEDs decay at different rates, give rise to poor color control. So after some time, the color changes from such combination of LEDs light. Now I come to the celebration part, actually, the last part. Best way to celebrate Day of Light today is energy saved, is energy produced. So we were using initially compact fluorescent lamps. So they were energy savers, but there were problem with these lamps. So nowadays we are changing from CFLs to LEDs. LED bulbs are way better than CFLs simply because they are durable, number one, energy efficient, and most important is environment friendly and emit less heat. They do not contain harmful substance like mercury and are most cost effective. This is about LED. The CFLs contain harmful materials like mercury and not much cost effective also. They also use less power per unit light generated. LEDs are the least harmful light source available. You know, previously the industry was struggling that when we change from CFL, when we change from condensing lamp to compact fluorescent lamp CFL, the issue with this industry, LED industry, was that how to incorporate the same light, same bulb, same tube light in the holders which are already fixed, or electricity fixtures which are already there in the house and building. So that they overcome. Now you can say you give me a tube light of uh, 2 feet, 2 feet or 6 feet of, so 2 feet or 4 feet, so small or bigger, but it fits in the holders similar what you are already having in your house. So energy saving by using LED lights can be used. LED traffic lights are now quite common in at least in metro cities. And this page, how much energy saving per day could be there in a city. So this page I have to celebrate energy saved and energy produced. Assume that a traffic light uses 100-watt bulbs today. Initially, there were bulbs inside the red, uh, red glass and orange glass and green glass. But now that has been, you have seen that small dots appeared on these traffic signal lights. These are all LEDs. So initially, if traffic light uses 100-watt bulbs today, the light is on say 24 hours a day, so it uses 2.4 kilowatt hours per day. Assuming some power cost 8 rupees per kilowatt hour, one traffic signal cost about 20 rupees a day to operate, or about 7,300 rupees per year. There are perhaps 8 signals per interaction. You can see that this much, so many signals are there. So that is almost 60,000 rupees per year in power intersection. And a big city like Delhi or Lucknow also, thousands of intersections are there. So it can cost several thousand rupees just to power all the traffic lights. LED consumes, instead of 100 watt, LED consumes 15 to 20 watt instead of 100 watt. So the power consumption drops by a factor of 5 or 6. And so a city can easily save huge amount of money and year by replacing all the bulbs with LED. Now it has, there are government agencies which are forcing us, compelling us to use LED bulbs in houses, in buildings, in corporates, in universities, and it is mandatory that whenever a new structure will be made, it will be fitted with LEDs bulb, LEDs light. And in those buildings where it is earlier in universities and corporates, if there are something, whenever there is a wear here, then replace it with LED. This is must. And they grant certificate also that how much energy you have saved in 1 year. And just to mention that last year we submitted data from Sharda University. Uttar Pradesh has, UP government has some kind of a contest. And last year Sharda University won the first prize. We are the maximum energy saver in that region. So this is how, if we save energy, we are celebrating the day, the International Day of Light. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You showed us several rare photographs like rainbow at Alaska, which was very nice, and explained us the RGB LEDs and the model. Yesterday there were 1 or 2 questions in the quiz over this RGB model. So everyone would be finding it very interesting and would have enjoyed your talk. Thank you so much, sir. Now over to Sneha. Sneha.